Chapter 1. Most men don't struggle with women because they're ugly. They struggle because they're scared of being seen as weird. That's the real fear, not rejection, not "she said no." The fear is walking up to a woman, trying to talk to her, and feeling her face change, feeling her body turn away, feeling her energy get uncomfortable, feeling like she's thinking, "Why is this guy talking to me?" That feeling is what makes men freeze. That feeling is what makes men avoid approaching women altogether. That feeling is what makes men watch opportunities walk past them every single day and then go home pretending they don't care. And honestly, I get it. Because the world has changed. Social media exists. Cameras exist. People judge everything. Women share stories with their friends. Men don't want to be the next screenshot. Men don't want to be the "this dude was so creepy" story. Men don't want to be embarrassed. So they choose the safest option. They don't approach at all. They wait for signs. They hope she approaches first. They hope the universe magically drops women into their lap. And then they wonder why their dating life feels dry, like they're invisible. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Approaching women is not weird. Being socially unaware is weird. Being thirsty is weird. Being pushy is weird. Being entitled is weird. Approaching is normal. Approaching is masculine. Approaching is how men have met women since the beginning of time. The issue is that most men approach like they're trying to take something. They approach like they're begging. They approach like they're nervous and desperate at the same time, and women can feel that energy before a word comes out of their mouth. That's why this video matters. Because if you learn how to approach without being weird, you don't just get more women. You become more confident in life. You stop feeling like you're invisible. You stop seeing women as these scary creatures you have to impress. You start seeing them as humans, and you start seeing yourself as a man who can handle the moment. If you've ever seen a beautiful woman and wanted to speak but talked yourself out of it, like this video because this is going to change how you move. Subscribe because Love Delusion is about turning men into men, not turning men into clowns. And comment confidence if you're tired of being scared of women and ready to become socially free. Now, let me start with the most important idea in this entire video, because if you miss this, everything else becomes useless. Women don't fear men who talk to them. Women fear men who don't know how to read the room. Women fear men who ignore discomfort. Women fear men who don't take hints. Women fear men who feel entitled. That's what creep really means. It doesn't mean you're ugly. It doesn't mean you approached. It means you made her feel unsafe, pressured, or trapped. So if you want to approach without being weird, your main goal is not to impress her. Your main goal is to make her feel comfortable. Comfort doesn't mean you act like a friend. Comfort means you respect the space. You respect her body language. You respect her pace. You respect her no. You respect her time. You let her breathe. Most men don't understand this and they go into the approach like it's a performance. They think they need perfect words. They think they need a line. They think they need charisma like a movie character. They think they need to be funny. They think they need to be slick. And that mindset is what makes them weird. Because it makes them act like they're acting. It makes them unnatural. It makes them tense. And women can feel tension like heat. The more you try to be smooth, the less smooth you become, because now you're thinking too hard. The man who approaches without being weird is not the man with the best line. It's the man who is calm. He's grounded. He speaks like a human. He doesn't rush. He doesn't pressure. He doesn't linger too long. He's not trying to sell himself. He's simply introducing himself and giving her a choice. That's the secret. The approach should always feel like a choice, not a demand, not a trap, not a "now you have to talk to me." It should feel like, "Hey, I saw you. I wanted to say something. If you're open, cool. If not, no worries." That energy is rare. That energy is masculine. That energy is what makes women respect a man even if they're not interested. Two men approach the same type of woman. The first man walks up nervous, apologizing before he even speaks. He says, sorry, I don't want to bother you, but I just thought you were really pretty. He's fidgeting. He's looking around. He's sweating. He's basically asking her to approve him. The woman smiles politely, but her body is already pulling away. She says thanks and she tries to end it. The second man walks up calmly. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't act like she's above him. He says, "Hey, I know this is random, but I saw you and had to tell you you look good. What's your name?" He's relaxed. He's not begging. He's not acting like he'll die if she says no. He's simply present. And the woman reacts differently. Even if she doesn't like him, she respects him. Because his energy isn't weird. His energy isn't thirsty. His energy is normal. That's the first tip right there. Even if I'm not going to label it like a list, your energy is more important than your words. If your energy is calm, your words don't need to be perfect. If your energy is shaky, your words can be perfect and she'll still feel weird. Women are emotional readers. They read intent. They read tension. They read confidence. They read desperation. So before you even approach, you need to fix what's going on inside you. If you walk up like you're hoping she saves you from loneliness, you will sound creepy even if you say nothing wrong. If you walk up like you already love your life and you're simply curious about her, your presence feels safe. A lot of men think the fastest way to make a woman like them is to compliment her body. They say things like, "You got a nice," or "damn you thick," or "you're sexy." And it's not that women never want to hear that, but not from a stranger who hasn't built any comfort. That's why it comes off creepy. It's too sexual too fast. It makes her feel like you're imagining her naked immediately. It makes her feel like a piece of meat, not a person. The man who approaches without being weird knows how to keep it respectful. If he compliments her, it's about something safe, her style, her vibe, her energy, something that shows you have social intelligence. A woman feels much better hearing you look elegant than you're sexy, because one feels like admiration and the other feels like hunger. Approaching women is not about taking, it's about offering. You're offering a moment, you're offering a vibe, you're offering connection, and she can accept or decline. That mindset makes you relax. It makes you stop clinging. It makes your approach feel light. The creepy man approaches like he wants to extract something. The confident man approaches like he's sharing something. Even if it's small, like a compliment or a laugh, it's an offering. And women can feel that difference instantly. And before we go further, let me say this because some men need permission. You are allowed to be interested in women. You are allowed to approach. You are allowed to desire. Masculinity is not a crime. The issue is not your desire. The issue is whether you have control over it. A man who has control is attractive. A man who is controlled by his desire becomes creepy. So in this video, we're not teaching you how to become fake. We're teaching you how to become controlled, how to move like a man with awareness, how to approach with confidence and respect so you never have to feel embarrassed again. In the next chapter, we're going to get into how to start conversations naturally without sounding like an NPC, without forcing lines, without doing that weird "hey beautiful" routine, and without getting stuck in awkward silence. I'm going to give you real examples of what to say, and I'm also going to show you how to read her response so you know whether to continue or exit with dignity. If you're enjoying this so far, like the video because it tells YouTube to push it to more men who need confidence. Share it with a friend who's always scared to approach women. Subscribe because love delusion is going to make you sharper socially. Chapter 2. The hardest part about approaching women isn't walking up. It's the first 10 seconds after you speak. That's where most men fumble. That's where their voice changes. That's where they start overthinking mid-sentence. That's where they start talking too fast. That's where they start saying random things because silence scares them. And if you've ever approached a woman and felt your brain go blank, like you forgot every sentence in the English language, you already know what I'm talking about. You walk up with confidence. You say, "Hey." And then suddenly you're standing there thinking, now what? That's when men start sounding weird, not because they're bad men, but because they don't have structure in their mind. A lot of men think confidence means having unlimited charisma. It doesn't. Confidence is knowing what you're doing. Confidence is having a plan. Confidence is being okay with whatever outcome happens. And that's why the men who approach women smoothly aren't necessarily the funniest or the most charming. They're the most intentional. They know why they approached. They know what they're trying to create. They're not hoping the conversation magically becomes something. They're guiding it lightly. It's like walking into a room with direction instead of stumbling around hoping someone saves you. So let's talk about what you actually say when you approach a woman, because men make this way harder than it needs to be. They think the opener has to impress. They think it has to be a line. They think it has to be clever. And when they can't think of a line, they don't approach at all. But here's a secret. The line doesn't matter nearly as much as the delivery. And most women don't even want a line because lines feel fake. Lines feel rehearsed. Lines feel like you do this 10 times a day, and women can smell that. What women respond to is authenticity paired with confidence. When you speak like a normal human being, but with masculine certainty, it instantly feels safer. One of the smoothest openers a man can use is honesty with calmness, not honesty with nervousness, not honesty with apology, but honesty with ease. Something like, "Hey, I know this is random, but you caught my attention and I wanted to say hi." That's it. That sentence alone already separates you from most men. Because most men don't have the courage to be direct, and when they do try to be direct, they overdo it. They make it overly sexual or overly intense. But a calm, honest opener feels normal. It doesn't trap her. It doesn't pressure her. It simply tells her what's happening. And women like clarity. Even when they reject you, they respect clarity. Now, here's what most men get wrong. They say the opener, and then they freeze. They don't know how to transition into conversation. They think the opener is the conversation. It's not. The opener is just the doorway. The conversation is what comes after. And the best way to keep it natural is to connect your opener to a question. If you say hi and compliment her, follow it with something that gives her an easy response. Something like asking her name, what she's doing, how her day is going. Or something situational that makes the moment feel normal. Situational openers are underrated because they remove pressure. If you're in a coffee shop, you can talk about the menu. If you're in a bookstore, you can talk about what she's looking at. If you're at the gym, you can mention something about the environment without being invasive. The point is, you're grounding the conversation in reality. When you ground it, you remove the weirdness. Weirdness comes from men forcing a vibe that doesn't match the situation. A man walking up and saying something overly flirty in a quiet space feels like an energy mismatch. Even if the words aren't bad, the vibe feels off. But when you talk about what's happening around you, it feels normal and human. Now, let's go deeper. The reason some men sound creepy, even when they say polite things, is because of how they hold their body and their eyes. They lean too close. They stare too hard. They block her path. They hover. They talk like they're desperate for her reaction. They keep standing there even after she clearly signals she's not interested. That's where creep energy comes from. It comes from ignoring cues. It comes from entitlement to her attention. A man who is socially intelligent knows how to approach without cornering her. He knows how to stand at a respectful distance. He knows how to smile lightly without being intense. He knows how to speak clearly without sounding needy. Let me paint a picture so you understand. Imagine a woman is standing in line. A man walks up behind her and stands too close, almost touching her. He leans toward her ear and says, "You smell good." That's creepy. It's invasive. Even if he meant it as a compliment, it violates her space. Now imagine a different man. He's in line as well. He stands at a normal distance and he says, "Hey, I'm not going to lie, you've got a calm vibe. I like it." Then he smiles and keeps his body relaxed. That feels safer. That feels more respectful. It feels like he noticed her as a person, not as a body. Now there's another piece men ignore. Your voice. Your voice should be calm and slow. When men get nervous, their voice speeds up. They start talking high-pitched. They start laughing too much. They start sounding like they're trying to be liked. A woman picks up on that instantly. It signals nervousness, and nervousness is not always unattractive, but nervousness combined with thirst is what becomes weird. That's why you have to control your pace. You don't need to rush. You can speak slowly. You can pause. Pausing is powerful. Pausing shows you're not afraid of silence, and if you're not afraid of silence, you naturally sound more confident. This is also why eye contact matters. Too little eye contact makes you seem insecure. Too much eye contact makes you seem intense. The sweet spot is soft eye contact with a relaxed face. Not a stare, not a glare. Just calm eye contact with the energy of, I'm here and I'm comfortable. That's what women respond to. Comfort is contagious. If you're comfortable, she becomes more comfortable. Now I want to introduce something that will save you instantly. The exit. Most men don't have an exit plan. They approach and they stay too long. They approach and they keep trying even when she's not receptive. That's the number one thing that turns a normal approach into a creepy one. Because the creep is not always the man who approaches. The creep is the man who refuses to leave. A smooth man knows how to exit with dignity. If you approach and she seems uninterested, you don't stay. You don't beg. You don't try to convince. You don't push. You smile and say something like, "No worries, enjoy your day." Then you leave. That exit does two things. It keeps your dignity, and it keeps her comfort. It also creates something strange. Sometimes women become more curious when you exit calmly, because they expected you to chase or become bitter, but you didn't. You showed self-respect. Even if she doesn't call you back, you won because you practiced masculinity. Imagine you walk up to a woman and you say, "Hi." She responds politely, but she doesn't ask you anything back. Her body stays turned away. She gives one-word answers. You can feel it's not there. The old version of you would stay and try harder. You'd start asking more questions. You'd start filling the silence. You'd start trying to win her. But the better version of you smiles, keeps it light, and says, "All right, I won't hold you. Have a good one." Then you leave. That's it. That's strength. And that strength is what separates you from the guys she calls creepy. In the next chapter, we're going to talk about the deeper part of this, how to read women's signals in real time so you know when to keep going and when to exit. I'm going to show you the difference between a woman who's shy and a woman who's uninterested, because that confusion is what gets men in trouble. And I'm going to talk about how to approach in different places like the gym, grocery store, and public spaces without making the moment uncomfortable. If you're enjoying this, like the video because it helps men become confident without becoming weird. Share it with your friend who thinks he needs pickup lines. Subscribe to Love Delusion because we're making masculinity socially intelligent. Chapter 3. There's a certain type of pain that only men understand, and it's not heartbreak. It's not even rejection. It's the pain of walking away from a moment and realizing you didn't take the chance. You saw the opening. You saw the woman glance at you. You felt the energy. You told yourself you should go talk to her, and then your mind started protecting you. It started giving you excuses. It started telling you she probably has a boyfriend. It started telling you she's out of your league. It started telling you she'll think you're weird, and you listened. You stayed silent. Then you watched her walk away. And later that night, you replayed it in your head like a highlight you missed. That regret builds up over years and turns men bitter because they start thinking confidence is something other men were born with, when really confidence is something other men practiced. What separates the man who approaches smoothly from the man who feels stuck isn't bravery. It's calibration. It's reading the situation. It's knowing when a woman is open and when she's closed. Because here's the part men don't want to admit. Some women are approachable and some women are not. Some women are in a good mood and open to being spoken to. Some women are stressed, busy, and not trying to be bothered. Some women are attracted to you and some women are not. And the man who is socially intelligent knows how to read it quickly. That's what prevents you from looking creepy. Creepy doesn't mean you approached. Creepy means you stayed when she wasn't open. Creepy means you pushed when she didn't invite it. The most important skill you can develop is learning to read her comfort level within the first few seconds. And this is where men mess up. They look for verbal confirmation. They want her to say she's interested, but women rarely say it directly. Instead, they communicate interest through micro-signals. Her body turns toward you. Her eyes stay on you. She smiles naturally. She asks questions back. Her answers have warmth. She isn't rushed. She isn't scanning for an exit. Those signals are green lights. They mean keep going. Even if she's shy, you can still feel the openness. A shy woman might look away more, but she'll still smile. She'll still respond warmly. She'll still stay. Her energy is soft, not closed. A woman who isn't interested gives different signals. Her body stays angled away. She gives short answers. She doesn't ask you anything back. She looks around. She keeps checking her phone. She steps back. She tightens her face. It's not always rude. Sometimes it's polite, but it's clearly not open. That's when you exit. That's when you leave. Because the moment you ignore those signals, you become the man she tells her friends about. Not because you were a bad person, but because you didn't respect reality. And women judge men more for social awareness than for looks. Now, I want to address the biggest confusion men have, the difference between shy and uninterested. Because this one mistake has ruined more situations than anything else. A shy woman will look nervous, but she won't look annoyed. She'll look uncertain, but she won't look disgusted. Her energy might be timid, but it won't feel tense. She might not talk a lot, but she'll still give you something. She'll still respond. She'll still smile slightly. She might even blush. She might even giggle. Those are signs she's open but cautious. An uninterested woman feels different. It's not just her words, it's her energy. It feels like you're interrupting. It feels like she's tolerating you. It feels like she wants the interaction to end quickly. Even if she's polite, you can feel the lack of warmth, and the man who understands women doesn't take that personally. He doesn't get angry, he doesn't get bitter, he doesn't start insulting her, he just exits with dignity. That's what makes you not weird. That's what makes you masculine. Let's talk about where men approach women and mess it up the most. The gym. The gym is the easiest place to look creepy because the gym is a place where women are already on defense. They're already used to men staring. They're already used to men hovering. They're already used to men pretending to work out near them just to be close. So you have to approach differently. The gym approach should feel low pressure, short, clean, respectful, not sexual, not intense. And most importantly, you have to respect her workout. You never interrupt her mid-set. You never approach when she has headphones on and is in the zone. You never corner her. You wait for a moment where she is naturally free, and then you say something simple and direct. A smooth gym approach might be something like, "Hey, I don't want to interrupt you, but I had to say you've got a strong vibe. What's your name?" That's it. Then you gauge her response quickly. If she's warm, you continue lightly. If she's cold, you leave. You don't keep talking. You don't keep forcing. You don't try to break her down. Because women don't want to be convinced. They want to be chosen, and they want to choose. So if she's not choosing, you don't stay. Now let's talk about the grocery store. The grocery store is underrated because it's natural, it's public, it's safe. But men still mess it up by being too intense. The best grocery store approach is situational. You're both in the aisle. You see her looking at something. You can make a light comment. Something playful but not sexual. Something that creates a normal human moment. Then, if she responds warmly, you introduce yourself. Grocery store approaches work best when they feel like a conversation that happened naturally, not a man hunting. Now, in public spaces like coffee shops or malls, the key is space. You don't hover, you don't follow, you don't stalk. You approach once, you speak. If she's open, you continue. If she's not, you leave. Most men become weird, not because of approach, but because they keep trying after the moment is dead. They become needy. They become persistent. And persistence in modern dating is not romantic. It's uncomfortable. A man sees a woman in a coffee shop. He likes her vibe. He walks up calmly and says, "Hey, I know this is random, but I like your style. You look like you know what you're doing with life." The woman smiles, laughs, and says, "Thank you." She asks him something back. He continues lightly for a minute. Then he says, "I'm about to head out, but you seem cool. We should talk again. Let me get your number." She says yes. That's smooth. That's simple. That's not weird. Now imagine the opposite. A man approaches the same woman and says something like, "I've been watching you from over there. You look so good." He stands too close. He keeps talking. He doesn't notice she's uncomfortable. He asks for her number too aggressively. She says no. He keeps trying. Now he becomes the story. Now he becomes the creep. The difference wasn't looks. The difference was awareness. So what you need to take away from this chapter is this. Approaching women is not about being fearless. It's about being socially intelligent. It's about reading cues. It's about respecting boundaries. It's about being calm enough to accept a no without needing to punish her for it. That calm acceptance is what makes you safe, and safety is what makes women open. In the next chapter, we're going to talk about how to make the conversation feel natural once she's receptive, how to avoid awkward interview questions, how to flirt without being sexual, how to create a moment that feels fun instead of tense. Because once you can approach and hold a conversation, you become unstoppable socially. If this chapter is hitting, like the video, because this is the kind of masculinity men need. Share this with the friend who thinks confidence means being loud. Subscribe to Love Delusion, because we're building men with clarity and control. Chapter 4. Now that you understand how to approach without being weird and how to read whether she's open or closed, the next problem is the one that humiliates men the most. It's not walking up. It's not saying hi. It's the moment after she responds and you realize you don't actually know how to talk to her. This is where a lot of men get exposed. They can approach, but they can't hold a conversation. They can get her attention, but they can't keep it. And instead of flowing naturally, they start interviewing her like a job applicant. Where are you from? What you do? How old are you? Do you live around here? And it turns into a robotic conversation that kills the vibe. Then later the man says women are boring, when really he just doesn't know how to create emotional tension without being sexual. The goal of talking to women is not to get information. It's to create a feeling. Women don't remember every word you said. They remember how you made them feel in the moment. They remember whether they felt comfortable, whether they felt intrigued, whether they felt feminine, whether they felt safe. And most importantly, they remember whether they felt like you were a man or a boy. The conversation is your chance to show calm confidence without trying too hard. Your voice is your chance to show leadership. Your presence is your chance to make the moment feel like something. So instead of going into the conversation thinking you need to perform, go in thinking you need to create comfort and tension at the same time. Comfort means she feels safe. It means you're respectful. It means you're not pressuring. Tension means she feels intrigued. It means there's a spark. It means you're not talking to her like she's your cousin. And the sweet spot is playful masculinity. A lot of men either go too friendly or too sexual. Too friendly makes you boring. Too sexual makes you creepy. Playful masculinity sits right in the middle. You're relaxed, you're confident, you're lightly teasing, you're curious, but you're not desperate. This is why teasing is such a powerful tool if you use it correctly. Teasing is not insulting. Teasing is playful challenge. It's you showing that you're not intimidated by her beauty. It's you showing that you're not trying to worship her. Women get worshipped every day by weak men. That's why it doesn't impress them. What impresses a woman is a man who sees her beauty but doesn't lose himself in it. A man who can be amused. A man who can lead. A man who can flirt without begging. Teasing shows that naturally. Let me give you an example. A woman tells you she's always late. The thirsty man says, "It's okay, you're cute." The weak man says, "Oh, that's fine." The confident man smiles and says, "That's toxic. I might have to disqualify you." That's playful. That's flirty. That's masculine. It creates tension without being creepy. It makes her laugh, but it also makes her feel like you have standards, and standards are attractive. Another powerful move is observation. Observations are better than generic compliments because they prove you're present. Every man tells women they're pretty. A woman is numb to that. But if you say something like, "You seem like you're always calm even when life is chaotic," it hits different. It makes her feel seen. It makes her feel like you noticed her energy, not just her face. That kind of attention is rare, and women respond to rare. Now, here's where men mess up again. They try to keep the conversation going forever. They feel like the longer they talk, the better their chances. That's not true. In reality, a short, smooth interaction is more powerful than a long, awkward one. The longer you stay, the more chances you give yourself to mess it up. That's why you need to know how to end conversations at the right time. A good approach should feel like a highlight, not a full movie. You want to create a good feeling, then exit while the energy is high. That's what makes her think about you later. This is also how you avoid being weird. Weird men linger. Weird men hover. Weird men keep talking after the vibe is dead. Smooth men create moments, then leave. They don't need to force. They don't need to chase. They don't need to win. They let the moment breathe. They let the woman process. And if she likes them, she'll want more. So when you're talking to her, keep it light. Keep it playful. Don't dump your life story on her. Don't trauma bond. Don't start talking about how women did you wrong. Don't start trying to prove you're not like other guys. That's the most unattractive thing a man can do. Because when you try to prove you're different, it means you don't believe you're different. Confidence doesn't announce itself. It shows itself. Imagine you approach a woman. You're talking, she's smiling, she's engaged, and you can feel the moment is good. The old version of you would cling. You'd keep talking because you don't want it to end. You'd try too hard. You'd start asking questions you don't even care about just to keep her attention. But the upgraded version of you recognizes that you already won. You already created a good moment, so you end it smoothly. You say, "You seem cool. I'm about to head out, but I'd like to talk again. Give me your number." Simple, direct, calm. And then here's the most important part. If she says no, you don't break. You don't argue. You don't get mad. You don't insult her. You smile and say, "All good. Enjoy your day." Then you leave. That is masculine. That is non-weird. That is attractive. And even if you didn't get the number, you built confidence. You trained your nervous system. You proved to yourself that you can handle the moment. That's how confidence grows. Confidence grows through reps. A lot of men are afraid of rejection because they've turned rejection into humiliation. But rejection is normal. Rejection is part of life. Women reject men they actually respect all the time, simply because they're not interested or they're taken. So stop internalizing rejection as proof you're not valuable. Rejection is just feedback. The key is how you handle it. A man who handles rejection with grace becomes more attractive over time. A man who handles rejection with bitterness becomes weird. In the final chapter, we're going to bring everything together and talk about how to approach women in a way that builds your confidence even when you get rejected. How to stop seeing approaching as a win or lose and start seeing it as building masculine skill. And I'm also going to give you the mindset that makes women feel safe, intrigued, and drawn to you without you needing to do anything extra. If you're getting value, like the video because this is real-life advice, share it with your friend who keeps interviewing women. Subscribe to Love Delusion because we teach men how to be confident without being corny. Chapter 5. At the end of the day, the reason this topic matters so much is because men are tired of feeling powerless. They're tired of seeing a beautiful woman and instantly shrinking inside. They're tired of acting normal around their friends, but acting nervous around women they actually like. They're tired of knowing they have personality, but not knowing how to show it in real time. And deep down, what makes it worse is not the lack of women. It's the lack of self-respect that comes from being scared of your own desires. Because when a man is too scared to even say hello, he starts living in fantasy. He starts watching women from a distance. He starts overthinking. He starts creating stories in his head. He starts craving what he never earned. And that is where weirdness is born. Weirdness is not a man approaching. Weirdness is a man watching from the shadows, building obsession, and never taking action. Approaching women without being weird is not about becoming smooth. It's about becoming free. Free from overthinking, free from fear, free from needing every interaction to go perfectly, free from seeing women as judges and seeing yourself as a performer. The man who can approach without being weird is the man who understands women are human. They are not trophies. They are not gods. They are not prizes you beg for. They are people with moods, preferences, insecurities, and bad days. And once you internalize that, you stop treating the approach like a life or death moment. You stop acting like one rejection defines you. You stop acting like one awkward moment ruins your life. You become relaxed. This is the biggest mindset shift you need. You are not approaching to win. You are approaching to express. You're expressing interest like a man. You're saying, I saw you, I liked what I saw, and I wanted to meet you. That's masculine. That's normal. And the woman is allowed to accept or decline. The moment you accept that her answer doesn't affect your value, you stop sounding creepy. Because creepiness is often a man trying to force an outcome. It's a man acting like he needs the yes. It's a man acting like he's entitled to a response. But when you don't need it, your energy is clean. You can approach, smile, speak, and exit peacefully. That energy makes women feel comfortable because they can sense you're not dangerous emotionally. You're not going to lash out if she rejects you. You're not going to pressure her. You're not going to try to trap her. You're simply being a man. And here's the irony. The men who don't need the outcome often get the best outcomes. Because women are used to men approaching from hunger. Women are used to men approaching from lust. Women are used to men approaching like they're trying to take something. So when a woman meets a man who approaches from calm curiosity, it stands out. It feels rare. It feels safe. It feels confident. Even if she doesn't choose you, she respects you. And respect is powerful because respect builds self-respect. It makes you want to approach again. It makes you want to improve. It makes you stop hiding. A man is walking through a mall and he sees a woman who catches his eye. He feels the normal fear rise up, but he doesn't let it control him. He walks up calmly and says something simple and respectful. Then he asks her name. The woman smiles but tells him she has a boyfriend. The man nods, smiles, and says, "That makes sense. He's lucky. Enjoy your day." Then he leaves. No bitterness, no insult, no awkward linger. Just smooth exit. The woman walks away thinking, that was actually a real man. And the man walks away feeling stronger. Even though he didn't get her number, he won. Because he acted like a man. He built confidence. He proved to himself he can handle discomfort. That's what men need to understand. Your confidence is not built by women saying yes. It's built by you showing up anyway. Confidence is built through reps. Reps create skill. Skill creates calmness. Calmness creates masculinity. Masculinity attracts women naturally. The men who seem effortless with women aren't necessarily born that way. They just have more reps. They've been rejected. They've been awkward. They've learned. They've adjusted. And now they move like men who belong in the moment. Now, let's talk about what to do if you actually get a woman's number. Because men also fumble after the approach. They approach well, then they start texting weird. They start over-texting. They start acting needy. They start sending paragraphs. They start trying to lock her down instantly. That's when women lose interest. So if you get her number, keep it simple. Text her with intention. Set up a date. Don't become her pen pal. Don't start pouring your emotions out. Don't start complimenting her non-stop. Don't start acting like she's your girlfriend because she gave you a number. Women respect men who move with calm direction. A simple text like, "This is underscore 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 from earlier. You seem cool. Let's grab coffee this week," is enough. If she's interested, she'll respond. If she's not, she won't. Either way, you don't lose your dignity. The goal is not to get every woman. The goal is to become the kind of man who can talk to any woman. That alone changes your life. Because when you know you can approach, you stop settling. You stop chasing women who don't respect you. You stop being scared to lose women. You stop tolerating bad behavior. Your confidence makes you selective. And women can feel a selective man. They can feel when a man is talking to them because he's genuinely curious, not because he's desperate for anybody to say yes. So if you're watching this and you've been stuck, if you've been calling yourself socially awkward, if you've been saying you're not confident, I want you to understand something. Confidence is not personality. Confidence is not genetics. Confidence is not luck. Confidence is skill plus repetition. Start taking reps. Start approaching in low-pressure situations. Start speaking to women like humans. Start building comfort. The more you do it, the less you fear it. The less you fear it, the calmer you become. The calmer you become, the more attractive you naturally are. If this video helped you, like it because it helps more men find it. Subscribe to Love Delusion because we teach men how to move with confidence without becoming corny. Share this with a friend who always says he's scared of women. And comment reps if you're done overthinking and ready to start building real confidence.